Hello everyone and welcome to Journey's End, Aquatic Base, which has some of my favorite music in any video game ever made. And in addition, it also has my favorite visual design in the game. I think Aquatic Base's visual design is absolutely strikingly beautiful, and it fits very well with the musical theme. Sadly, the level design is not the greatest, but I think it's pretty enough to make up for that. Either way, we're here at the end of the game, and I have some things to say about Sonic 2006 as a whole. Firstly, I think the combat in Sonic 2006 is underrated. I feel that it's the perfect balance between genuine depth in a Sonic combat system and speed. The combat system in Sonic Heroes was a bit too slow. The game did reward you for playing fast so you could upgrade your characters and defeat enemies faster. But the combat system in Sonic 2006 is much faster, while still managing to be satisfying and rhythmic. The combat in Sonic Heroes didn't really have much rhythm. Meanwhile, the combat in Sonic 2006 has great rhythm. And I do see people sometimes complaining that Sonic games should not have combat in them at all, which I find to be an incredibly silly complaint. People argue combat has no place in a Sonic game, that it's too gimmicky. But I wonder if those people have ever played a Sonic game before, especially the old ones. If you recall, to get the true ending, in any of the old 2D Sonic games, you had to play incredibly out-of-place minigames that had nothing to do with the rest of the design whatsoever. They came absolutely out of nowhere, had nothing to do with the core design principles behind 2D Sonic games. It's a very strange experience. Meanwhile, in Sonic 2006, the combat is an extension of the core gameplay mechanics. The combat is basically more platforming in itself. It feels like a natural extension of what's already here. So I don't get the complaint that combat has no place in a Sonic game. People also complain sometimes that the combat is too slow, but if you've ever played a 2D Sonic game again, there's always a point where the game smashes on the brakes and demands that you do some very slow platforming for no particular reason. At least in Sonic 2006, instead, the slow platforming has been replaced by enjoyable combat, or switching to other characters with their own unique movesets. To sum it all up, I find the combat in Sonic 06 to be incredibly underrated, and I think it's the closest the series has ever gotten to genuinely engaging combat. You play Sonic Unleashed, or Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations, Sonic Forces. The enemies there, they just get blown out of the way immediately. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I find those all to be good games. But I feel like the combat in those games is lacking a certain something, lacking a certain punch to it. And sure, those games wouldn't benefit from slowing down, that's true, because their design is entirely different from Sonic 2006's. But the combat in those games also feels very lacking, like the enemies may as well not be there, and they could instead be replaced with moving barricades or platforms or something. Meanwhile, the enemies in Sonic 2006 feel like an actual threat, and you have to pay attention to which ones to take out first, what their attacks are, and how to circumvent them. I quite like that. Moving on from the combat, I find that Sonic 2006's platforming has a lot of positives that aren't present anywhere else in the series, such as the ability to homing attack rails. The ability to homing attack rails in this game is probably something people took for granted, but it is the best and most satisfying rail switching in the entire series. The newer games allow you to switch rails by tapping on the shoulder buttons, but that doesn't feel like a natural extension of the platforming like the rail switching in this game does. Being able to homing attack from rail to rail quickly feels much more natural and much more in line with Sonic's established moveset, like a more natural extension of what's already going on. So I enjoy it quite a bit, and I think switching rails via homing attacks is something they should probably bring back. Speaking of homing attacks, I think homing attacks are better than ever in this game. The animation for it may not give you a lot of feedback, but the way Sonic instantaneously zips from one enemy to another may as well be teleportation, and I quite like that about it. The homing attacks feel very fast, very zippy. I know some people complain the homing attack has too much range, that it shoots you absurdly far when you use it, and I will admit that takes some getting used to, but I think it ultimately works in the game's favor, because it opens far more platforming possibilities and makes the combat move even faster. In the older 2D Sonic games, the homing attack wasn't nearly this reliable. The homing attack is very reliable in Sonic 2006. If you point in a direction and press X, Sonic's going to homing attack whatever's in that direction. And it can be pretty far away, too. But you try and use the homing attack in some of the earlier 3D Sonic games, and you find it's not quite as fluid. It's not as omnidirectional. Mostly goes forward. But in this game, the homing attack is quite omnidirectional, making the combat function much more dynamically. I don't know if I'd call it the best implementation of the homing attack overall, but is it the best implementation of the homing attack for this style of 3D Sonic game? Yeah, absolutely. Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, and Sonic Heroes homing attack has nothing on the homing attack in Sonic 2006. Sonic 2006's homing attack is the absolute evolution of the Sonic Adventure homing attack. I have virtually no complaints about it. As I said, it takes a little while to get used to how far the homing attack goes, but that turns out to be a positive. It gives you more options. So I think that Sonic 2006 has the best combat in the entire Sonic series. I think it has the best use of the Sonic Adventure style homing attack. And I do wish I could say the same about the game's rhythm, but rhythm is something the newer Sonic games have absolutely done far better than Sonic 2006. Not the combat rhythm, mind you, but the newer Sonic games don't really have combat in them. Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Forces, Sonic Generations, Sonic Colors, they all have much better rhythm than Sonic 2006. So even though I really enjoy Sonic 2006's rhythm, that's been done better since. But that's also because the design of Sonic, 3D Sonic, has shifted immensely. This game is a 3D platformer first. You know, it's a 3D platformer where you move quickly and rhythmically, yes, which is what makes it special. The rhythm and speed is what makes the 3D Sonic games special. But this is a 3D platformer first. The newer Sonic games, they're 3D platformers second and rhythm games first. So there was quite a shift in game design, starting with Sonic Unleashed, where it began to function more like a rhythm game, focused entirely on speed and reactions. Meanwhile, Sonic 2006 is more of a 3D platformer, where the speed gives you more options in gameplay and allows for more satisfaction. Which makes it quite a unique 3D platformer in my eyes. As much flack as people give 3D Sonic games, there will never be anything quite like them. There will never be 3D platformers that move this fast, or have this much rhythm in them. I'm incredibly sure of that. If you do find a 3D platformer outside of the Sonic series that matches its rhythm or speed, let me know, because I just don't think it can be done. And I do mean a third-person 3D platformer, not a first-person one. I feel like parkour is its own thing. But yeah, 3D Sonic games are special. And Sonic 2006, well, it enhances some of the things that were special about it. It's a shame the level design and general game design and some of the controls are just so busted.
Yeah! That was incredible!